This is a continuation video on my Teach Yourself How to Sew playlist. Please, I want to know, who is this playlist helping? If you have been following the whole process from the first video I uploaded, which is the basic bodice with one dart, where I explained so much about the basic steps you need to take when you want to start taking your body measurements, understanding your tape, placing your measurement on a pattern, from that particular first video to the last video I uploaded, which is the short red dress. Are you learning anything? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I know that my playlist is helping somebody out there. I still get a lot of questions from people on my comment section asking me what are the process that I need to follow to know how to sew. How do I start my sewing journey? Even though I have dedicated so much of my time making videos on the process you need to follow if you want to start sewing, and the process you need to follow if you want to know how to draft out pattern. I've been making a whole lot of videos, but it seems like people are not seeing this video. I don't know. Are you guys not getting my notification? This is why the Teach Yourself How to Sew playlist exists. The process I am following to teach myself how to sew at home is what I'm filming and sharing with you. Okay, so on the Teach Yourself How to Sew playlist, if you're following all the steps from the first video to this point, there are some certain things you should already understand when it comes to sewing. There are a lot of certain basic information on this playlist that you should already understand. Okay, so yeah, that's the process you need to follow the Teach Yourself How to Sew playlist and you're good. Today we are going to be making a one shoulder dress, and that's what we're going to be drafting on this video. This is the pattern video, and like I said, this is a continuation, so I'm going to be talking in a continuation manner when I'm drafting the pattern. We're going to be dealing with only two darts. Okay, the waist dart, of course, because we want the fitting on the waist, don't you? I do. And also the armhole darts, because the last video I uploaded on this playlist, which is the red dress, the short red dress, I realized that I had a bulge on my armhole. And how do I take care of that bulge to get the fitting on this dress? Because this dress is a long dress that hugs the body, that fits the body. Okay, so how do I get that fitting on my armhole? Also, I need to create a dart of 1 inch. That's how much that I needed to take away from that red dress. Okay, 1 inch on the armhole. So I'm going to be applying that 1 inch armhole dart on this dress, and also 1 inch waist dart on this dress. Okay, and then we're going to be transferring that particular dart to the shoulder. So we're going to be truing our dart, transferring that and also truing the dart, and then creating our neckline, which is the one shoulder for the dress. Okay, that's the process that we're going to be following. But anyways, thank you for joining me. My name is Vivian, and let's just get into this pattern drafting. Take note that my pattern paper was folded into two. So normally I say we should use one side of our pattern, like just use a half side for the front, then we'll create a half side for the back. But because of what we're trying to create, which is the one shouldered armhole, we need the full side of the front and the full side of the back, because right hand is different, left hand is different for the front, and then right hand is different, left hand is different for the back. Okay, so we're going to be folding our pattern paper like we're folding our fabric into two, and that is what you should grab. Okay, so let's dive into the next process. I have my pattern laid out, so I'll start marking down the measurement. So this is my starting line. On the starting line, I'll go ahead and mark my neck width, which is 3 inches. That's what I'm using for this pattern. So from here, I'll go in, mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 divided by 2 gives you 7. From that line, I'll come down by 1 inch for the slope, and I'll connect the slope to the neck width. You should already be used to this process by now, because I've done it a lot of times on this channel. Okay. Next, I'll divide my round bust by 4 minus 1.5 inch. My round bust divided by 4 gives you 9. 9 minus 1.5 inch gives you 7.5. So that's what I marked down here. I like to confirm the width that I have here on this width. Okay, so that shoulder measurement that I marked, which is 7. I like to confirm it on my armhole stop point. So I have to get 7 here. Now from this point, I'll go ahead and connect, okay, with a straight line. I also rule an horizontal line here. And this is the armhole line, okay? Let's come down on the center front and mark 3.5 inch for neck depth. That's what I marked. And I'll connect to get my neck measurement. I'm using a curve so I can get, because this is not the exact pattern, okay? We're going to be adjusting to get a one shoulder. So but I just use 3.5 for here, okay? Like, you know, when you're marking your basic dress, this is what you do. Now let's look for the middle point of my armhole. 7.5 divided by 2 gives you 3.75, I guess. I'll go in by 0.75 here, so I can create my armhole curve. On this line here, I'll divide my round bust by 4 and I'll mark it here, which is 9 inches. I can go ahead now and use my curve and connect these 3 points together. I'm going to be marking the points. So from the starting line, I'll come down by 10 inches, and that's my bust point. We're going to be running through it, okay? Please. This is my bust point. Next is my waist. I'll place my tape here on the starting line. I'll come down and mark my waist point, which is 16 inches. Because this is a continuation of teach yourself, okay? That is why I am running through it like this, because if you've followed all the teach yourself, you should already be used to this step, okay? So now I went ahead to label so you understand that these are the points that I am using for my dress. The next point I'm going to be marking is my hip point, and that's 25 from the start line, 25 inches. So go ahead and also mark your hip point. So here is my hip point. The next is my knee point. Now if you saw the dress, of course you did see the dress, and you notice that on the new side, like on the knee of my dress, it's a little pencil, like pencil-y. It's because of I indicated my knee point and I adjusted it, okay? That's why I got that pencil on my dress. Now the pencil was supposed to be penciling, but because I had like a long slit at the back, that is why you're not even seeing how pencil it is, but it is really pencil, okay? The next is the length of the dress, the full length. Now my full length is 53, and that's what I marked here. Next, we are going to be marking horizontal measurements. So go ahead and start marking your horizontal measurements to do like I do. The round waist, my round waist is the next. My round waist divided by 4 is 7.2 inches. 7.25. That's 29. I'm using 29 because my waist is shrinking. Now I went ahead to connect my waist to the armhole line. Next is my hip point. I'll divide my round hip by 4 and mark it on this line here. My round hip is 42, divided by 4 is 10.5, but I am going to be minusing 0.5 inch from that measurement. I will minus 0.5 because I am going to be adding that 0.5 to the back, okay? Now if you've seen my hip allocation video for how to make a skirt, That is what I did, like on that hip allocation, and that's what I'm using for this dress because I want it in a certain way where it gives me this kind of fitting. Okay, and that's why I did this. I divided my round hip by 4 and I minus 0.5 inch from that measurement, and that's what I marked here. So what I marked here is 10 inches. I'll move to my knee line. The 10 inches I marked on my hip, I'll minus 2 inches from that measurement and I'll mark on my knee line. So I have 10 inches here because I minus 0.5 from my hip measurement, right? After dividing by 4. So this is 10. I'll take away 2 inches from that measurement, and what I will mark in here on my knee line is 8 inches. Because of this is like a pencil dress, like not like this is a pencil dress, and for me to get that pencil I need to do this on the knee line. Now go ahead and do this if you want a pencil dress. If you're not big on pencil dress and you want yours to just be like a straight cut, don't do this. Okay, on the length I'll do the same thing I did. I'll minus 3 inches instead of 2 and I'll mark 7 on the length. Okay, so 10 minus 3 gives you 7, and that's what I marked here on my length so that we can continue the pencil effect that we're trying to create. Okay, so that's basically it for a basic dress pattern. Now we can start adjusting. Okay, let's start adjusting. So please make sure you have this on your pattern paper, and let's move to the next step. I went ahead to indicate the lines with a red marker so we see all my measurements, and now we're going to be marking the darts. For my darts, I'll divide my nipples to nipple by 2, and I'll mark this on my waistline, on my hip line, on my bust line. Okay, my nipple to nipple is 8. When I place the tape from one nipple to another nipple, I get 8 inches. I'll divide that measurement by 2, and I marked 4 inches here. Okay, on my waistline and on my bust, I'll connect this with a straight line. This is the apex line. Okay, the nipples line. On my hip line, I'll come up by 3 inches. I'll mark the 4 inches first. Now from the apex line, I'll come up by 3 inches. And I'll confirm if I still have 4 inches here because it needs to tally, or it needs to be accurate with the others. Okay, and I'll connect this to the waist. This is where we're going to be taking the darts. If you want your dress to have a dart effect, this is where we'll start marking the darts. On the waistline, I'll be marking 0.5 inch on each side of the dart leg. Okay, so I'll mark 0.5 inch here and here. I'll connect this down to this point. I'll move to my bust line and I'll come down by 0.75, or you can come down by 1 inch. Okay, it depends on you. Just indicate a point there down from your bust line and then connect this to your darts. Okay, now what we just did here is taking the waist dart. This is the waist dart effect, and I'm going to be applying just 2 darts on this dress. You're following the teach yourself how to sew, you remember that the last video I uploaded on that playlist, that's the dress, the short dress, I had a bulge on the armhole, the front side, and that particular bulge I calculated it and I got 1 inch. There are a few adjustments that I need to do. The first adjustment is on the armhole. I have a gaping here, and the only way I can take away this gaping is by creating a dart on the armhole, and that is why this is the second dart that I'll be applying on this video. I'm going to be marking that particular bulge out, which is taking a dart on that armhole side, and 1 inch of that, of course, so I can eliminate that bulge and get the fitting that I want. Okay, on the armhole I am going to connect this to my bust line like this. Remember the 0.75 inch I came in by? I'm going to connect that point to my bust like this. And now I'll be taking a dart of 1 inch. Okay, half inch here, half inch here. Now I'll come up from the bust line, I'll come up to this point by 0.75 or so. Make sure you connect each dart point to that particular point here down on the bust. So now we have to eliminate this by transferring it to the shoulder. Because of the type of dress I want to create, that's the one shoulder dress, I want my darts, I want to sew the dart on the shoulder. I marked the middle point on my shoulder. I placed my tape on that point, mark the middle point. I'll connect this point now down to the bust line. And all I have to do now is cut out this dart and transfer it here, and we're going to be doing this together. Okay, so note that before marking out this whole measurement, I have two sides here, okay, because we are making a one shoulder dress and we need both sides of the pattern. So we're not just using one side and then duplicating on the fabric. We have the both side, and that's what I have here. Okay, so after drafting, you can see my complete front pattern. On the intro, I already said this, that make sure that you have your pattern paper folded into two. So this is mine, this is my complete front, this is me, this is my neckline. Okay, yes, this is me, this is my shoulder, girl, this is my armhole, my bust point, and you see the darts here. I already took out the darts here too. And whatever I do on this side, I'll do on the other side. Okay, whatever I do on the right hand, I'll do on the left hand. So this is how I will eliminate this dart on the armhole. I'm going to cut through one of the dart legs, or the last line of the dart leg, and then I'll move to my shoulder. I'll open up the middle point, this straight line that I have here indicated from the middle point. So why I am opening this point is for me to have easy access to eliminate that dart on the armhole. Okay, so watch what I will do. I'm going to move this and see what I'll do here. I'll place the last line of the dart leg on top of the first line of the dart leg, and I'll use my tape to close this. I think we need to have like a different video talking about how to transfer that. Yeah, I think we need to do that. I have my dart transferred already to the shoulder. You can see it here now, that 1 inch. Let's calculate it. See, I have that 1 inch transferred to the shoulder. I will redraw my armhole line. Okay, so I have to redraw. You can see that the armhole line is no longer equal. Something is happening there. So I will redraw this using my curve. Okay, I'll make sure I place my curve in a way where I have a continuation of my armhole from the shoulder. Okay, so this is it. So this is the new armhole line, and with this particular armhole line now, I no longer have any bulge on the armhole. All the bulge has been transferred to the shoulder. Now let's through the dart. Let's through it. Okay, let's through that. Let's through the dart. Like I said, I was going to place a fresh paper underneath the darts on the shoulder. I'll use my tape to hold this down before I start truing. There is something I learned recently about truing your darts. Now, most of the time when we are truing our darts, we tend to fold the dart towards the center front, and that creates a kind of effect that we always think that we need more fabric available on the shoulder. I don't know. Let me show you now. I am going to be truing my dart by placing it in a way where I send the extra fabric to the side of my pattern, okay, to the side and not to the center front. So you see the extra fabric you're going to have below this dart, make sure that you're folding it towards your side, okay, towards your side seam, towards the armhole, not towards the neckline. So fold it towards your side seam, even the one on your waist. Whenever you're folding your dart to through it, make sure you always fold it towards your side seam, and you're going to realize that you get like a perfect finish for your truing. Okay, see what I have here. I'll just connect after truing the dart. This is how much fabric I need to cut out more on that dart. See, nothing much. It's not much because I folded it towards me. Okay, I folded it towards the side and not the center front. I'm trying to show you guys again because this is something I learned recently and I was so happy because I couldn't wait to come share it on here. So I am folding the dart towards me and I threw it. I'll do the same thing on this side and I'll be back. So what I have here now, I also have here. You see, I am folding this towards the armhole side too, like towards my side seam. And now on this shoulder here, I'll mark in 0.5 inch. I hope I'm not too fast on this video. We're creating the one shoulder neckline now. So on this point here, I'll come down by ½ inch too, okay, 0.5 inch. I'll find a way to connect these 2 points together. This ½ inch here, I'll connect it to the ½ inch on the shoulder. So from this point, so I started by using a break line, dash line, and once I am satisfied, I'll go ahead and use my pencil to rule it out the way I want to rule it out. But this is my one shoulder. This is how I got my one shoulder. It's very simple, right? Very, very simple. So remember, I went in by ½ inch on the neckline and I came down by ½ inch on the armhole line, and I connected both points together using a curve that I want, my desired curve. And I'm going to tighten my upper bust on the side where I no longer have shoulder. I'll tighten my upper bust by marking ½ inch in on the points where the one shoulder stops, okay? So I just went in. This is tightening. You should already know what tightening is. You should, if you're watching the Teach Yourself, you should know what tightening is by now, okay? So what I'm doing here is I marked 0.5 inch on each side of the dart lines, and I'm tightening this by connecting this back to the bust, okay? We're going to confirm if the dart legs are equal before we cut. So I'll make sure that what I have on this dart leg here is the exact number of what I have on this dart leg here. So I'm measuring this thing to the bust. So it's not equal, I'll adjust. The one on my side, towards my side, is not equal. I'll adjust this by the amount that it needs to be equal. And I'll reconnect this back to my armhole, to my new armhole on the side, using a curve. Please just pay attention. At this point, you should already be understanding what we're doing. Please. So this is my new armhole for the side here. And I'll go ahead to add my allowance. Like, we're practically done, honey. We're practically done. My allowance is 1 inch. That's the allowance I'll be adding. I didn't replace no darts. Especially here on the chest line, this part here that I am ruling, I did not replace no darts because what I'm trying to do is tighten it. So there's no need for me to now replace that when what I'm doing is taking the extra fabric that is going to come out from, because of I am creating a one shoulder neckline. So there's always going to be excess bulging out because of the curve, and for me to eliminate that curve, I created a dart, like I tightened the dart there, and there's no need for me to replace that on the armhole. Okay, so this is what I have as my front pattern. I hope you understand how we got to this point. So this is what I have as my front pattern. Let me know on the comment section if you understand. Now we're going to be creating the back pattern. This is my back pattern with all the measurements already indicated, the vertical measurements. Now everything I have on my front is everything I have on my back, but with an extra 1 inch from the center back for zip. So this is the 1 inch for zip. So make sure you leave 1 inch for your zip before you have your center line, your center back line. So this is the measurement we need from the center back line. This is my neck width, 3 inches. Shoulder line to the slope. This is my slope here. Like I said, everything I have on the front while we were marking out the measurement is everything I have here. So if you have been paying attention, you would understand already what is happening here at the back. Okay, so that's my armhole line, my bust line, my waist line, my hip line, my knee line. Same measurements that I use is what I use here at the back. And the length, full length, same measurements. So I have my dart line indicated here from the center back. Okay, from this point, that's where I marked my dart. Forgetting the other side of the extra 1 inch, that's for zip. Okay, so this is the same thing I did on the front, I did on the back. And now let's impute our measurements. Let's impute the round measurements. Starting from my neck line, I'll come down by 1 inch for my neck depth. This is not really necessary. This is just for us to be able to get the actual one shoulder back. Okay, and bear in mind that on this pattern paper also I have two pattern papers are here. Okay, because we are trying to draft the full back, not one side of the back. Next, I'll look for the middle point of my armhole so I can mark the curve. I can get the curve. From that middle point, I'll come in by 0.5 inch. And then I'll connect. Before I connect, I'll divide my round bust by 4 and mark this on my armhole line. That's 9 inches. Now I can connect to get the armhole curve for the back pattern. Now I'll move to the dart. I'm taking 0.5 inch on each side of my apex line, which is on the waist. This is the waist dart, of course. Now, something I forgot to do here is I forgot to connect my dart to the armhole. Like I was supposed to create a chest line. If you have seen my teach yourself from the basic bodies to the 2 darts method, the 3 darts method of the basic bodies, you realize that for the back, the dart gets, your back dart gets to your chest line or your armhole line, whichever you want to call it. So that's where your darts for your back gets to. Okay, I forgot to do that, which I was able to adjust while I was sewing. It was at the point where I was sewing that I realized that, oh my god, I forgot to do this. Now I'm going to be adjusting the back for fitting, and this is what I will do. So now I'll come in by 1 inch on the waist. On my center back, I'm coming in by 1 inch on the waist. This is the process I use in my hip allocation method. I'll connect this to the bust line. This is happening at the center back of my back dress. Okay, center back. Now from here, now I'll divide my round waist by 4 and I'll mark this. Okay, replacing my dart, my 1 inch dart. So remember, I marked in 1 inch before doing this. I'll connect this now to the armhole line. I'll move to the hip. I'll connect that 1 inch on the waist to the hip first. The 1 inch I have here, I'll connect it to the hip first. And now I am dividing my round hip by 4 plus 0.5 inch. Remember that 0.5 that I got from the front? I minused it from the front. On the back, I am adding it instead. So I'll be marking 11 inches on my hip. Instead of marking 10.5, I am plussing that 0.5 inch that I used on the front. I'm plussing it to make this 11. I'll connect this to my waist using my curve ruler. Now for my knee line, I'll be going in by 1.5 inch, and then I'll be marking my 11 inches minus 2 inches, which is 9. 11 minus 2, 9. Okay, that's what I'll be marking here. We did that on the front, but instead of 11 we used 10, right? But this is 11. But before then, remember I said I'll be marking 1.5 inch in. This is the hip allocation method again. That's the method I'm using. I'm going to make sure that I write down all the videos that I am using for this dress. Like, I'll put down all the videos that I am combining, all the process that I'm combining to make this dress. So for my basic bodies to the hip allocation method to the last dress I uploaded, the red dress, these are all the measurements I'm using. Okay, these are all the process I'm using. Now from this point, I'll mark my 9 inches. This will help, eliminate the too much fabric at the back, my center back, making it look like the dress is really pencil. But yeah, not making it look like, making it have a pencil effect. It is not looking like, it is actually having a pencil effect. I'll move to the length. I'll mark in 2 inches from this point. Okay, on the knee we marked 1.5. On the length I'm marking 2 inches. And now I'll connect this to the knee line using my straight ruler. Again, this is for the pencil effect. I talk too much, but I want you to understand what I'm saying. This is for the pencil effect. Okay, now I am going to say 11 inches minus 3 inches, which is 8, and that's what I'll be marking here. Okay, for that pencil effect, we took away 3 inches from the hip measurement, and I'll mark 8. Connect this to my knee line, and if you're looking at the pattern, you can see the pencil effect already on the pattern paper. You can see the pencil effect. Now this is just for one side, but I have 2 pattern papers. Okay, I have 2 pattern papers. Trust me, we're marking for the full back. I'll mark my zip measurements before I take my allowance, and because of what I did on the waistline, I have to now mark my zip measurement again. So I'm marking 1 inch on all points, 1 inch for my zip. And yeah, I did something here on the knee line too, so I'm marking the 1 inch again. So we discarded the first 1 inch that we marked for the allowance, and now we're marking a new 1 inch that we're going to be sewing in on the dress. This is the zip measurement, the zip allowance. We need a zip allowance to follow the curve of the body. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. Connect this to my neckline from the waist. This is a zip allowance. Now we're going to be cutting out the excess from the zip. So you understand what I'm saying, full back. When I say we're marking for the full back, I meant the full back, my right hand, my left hand, that's what we're marking out. So I have 2 patterns. Let me show you guys. Whatever I do on one of the pattern, I do the same thing on the other pattern. Okay, so yeah, let's mark the armhole and shoulder dart. On this point here, I'll connect that to the bust line, just like we did on the front. And I did not have any excess on the armhole from that last dress that I created, the red dress. There was no excess, but I'm still going to just take out 0.25 inch, and I'll just mark it up from this line. I'm just trying to take out in case there is going to be any excess in the future. This is not necessary because there was no that, like there was no bulge and there's no need for me to create that, but I'm just taking out 0.25, and I'll connect this to the bust line directly. Now remember I said this was supposed to be on the chest. What I'm connecting right now is supposed to stop on the chest line, which is the armhole line, but I forgot to do that while I was drafting out the pattern on the dress. I did it anyway, so you can just go ahead and do it right now. To transfer the dart to the shoulder like we did on the front, I'll look for the middle point, mark that, and I'll connect this to the bust line. but this is supposed to stop on the chest line, which is the armhole line. Please, I wish the person watching this video has watched the teach yourself from the beginning, so you understand this back, what I'm trying to explain. You understand what I'm saying. Now we're going to be transferring the dart from that armhole point to the shoulder, okay, by slashing. We're not spreading. We're just going to slash and transfer. I like to do videos where I slash and spread. I think I have, how many videos where I slash and spread? But anyway, this is slash and transfer. So we're transferring this to the shoulder by doing the same thing we did on the front. So yeah, I'll cover this. I'll take off the dart by, covering this and using my tape. Now, you can notice that anytime I try to transfer the dart, see the armhole line is not longer equal. So now I have to adjust this. And if I go ahead to sew this dress without even creating a dart on the shoulder, no, I have to create a dart on the shoulder. But this is going to give me the fitting that I want. I don't know if you get, this is all for the fitting. I'll go ahead to place a fresh pattern under my dress pattern, and I'm going to true this. Now remember how to true. You send the excess fabric to the side seam, okay? So that's what I'm folding. I'm folding my pattern to send the excess fabric to the side seam, towards the armhole, not towards the front. So you lap the side dart on top of the center front dart, okay? So the excess fabric should be going towards the side, and now I'm just going to rule this. What I'm trying to do here is to be able to get the point that I need to connect when I open up my dart, okay? Now if you follow this thing just the way I'm saying it, you are going to realize that truing your dart and sending your dart towards your side seam doesn't create too much fabric, doesn't create excess fabric on the shoulder. It's something you're going to just do this and you're going to realize what I'm saying. So this is done. Now I'll add allowance on my pattern paper. 1 inch allowance is what I'm adding, and remember, whatever I do on this side of the pattern, I am going to be doing on the other side of the pattern, okay? Whatever I do on the right hand, I'll do on the left hand, and so the story goes. And so we go do make me wanna dance it. This is my allowance, 1 inch. And the next thing we're going to do after adding the allowance is to eliminate the zip bulge that I talked about on the waist, okay? So on the waist here, I am going to be marking 1/2 inch on each side of the waistline. So I'll go down by 1/2 inch here and then go up by 1/2 inch here. This is happening on the waistline alone. And I'll connect this to the side of my pattern, to the side seam of my pattern. And this is just going to help me eliminate those bulge that always happen at the zip. Now when I did this, I wasn't able to completely eliminate all the zip bulge. So the next time I'm going to be doing any dress, I'm going to be taking more than 1 inch on this point, okay? Because what I did here was take out only 1 inch, which wasn't enough. After sewing, I realized it wasn't enough. So next time I'm going to be taking like 1.5 inch out from this side of my pattern. So I'll close this up like this. And this is just going to make sure or help me not have too much fabric folding on my waist side of the zip, okay? When I sew my zip, I don't want to have fold here. Now I'll go ahead and mark that 1 inch back on the length. The 1 inch we took away on the waist, I'll mark it back on the length. This is happening on the center back. And I'll connect this to the side seam. So when we sew, we don't lack fabric, okay? When we sew this, there's no shortage of fabric. Now cut out my pattern. Like I said, I have 2 patterns here. So what I did on this particular pattern that you're looking at is already happening at the other side of my pattern. Now we're going to be creating the shoulder neckline. But before we can do that, we need to fold the zip. Okay, we need to sew or fold or pin the zip side. So the 1 inch for the zip at the center back, make sure you pin both patterns together. Okay, your left and your right, pin them together, take away the 1 inch, and then also close your darts. Please close your darts on the front pattern and on the back pattern. Close your darts. So my dart here is closed, my dart here is closed on the shoulder, and I'll place my front pattern on my back pattern, making sure I place the right side facing up and the left side facing down, like making sure that the wrong side of my patterns, both on the front and the back, is facing each other. And then I will start outlining the shoulder. Do you know I'm doing this? To make sure that I don't cut the wrong side of the one shoulder on my back. So to be able to get accurate, what I'm trying to do, to be able to get the accurate side for my one shoulder like I have on the front, I have to place this like I am cutting this on my fabric, making sure that the wrong side of my pattern paper on the back is facing the wrong side of my pattern paper of the front. And then I will outline the one shoulder and then cut it out, and that is it. That is just it. And now I have what I have on the front, I have on the back. Remember that I pinned in my zip measurements. And girl, that is it for this video. This is the pattern drafting, and this is me. I have gone ahead to lay the pattern on the fabric. So the next video you're going to be seeing, we are going to be sewing this together. Okay, if you need to slow this video, there is a way you can slow down the video and watch. There's a way you can actually make it faster than what I'm sounding like right now. But I don't know why you want something faster, because I feel like I'm already talking too fast. But anyways, thank you once more. I love you guys so much. See you guys on the sewing version. Bye.